I got completely away from the city, the crowds, the noise, and all the stress. I'm exactly 40 kilometers away at the foothills of the Caucasus Mountains at an elevation of 1,520 meters. I'm here alone, and the temperature is -8 degrees Celsius. There's snow up to my knees and the cold is like ice. Yet despite all that, being here brings incredible feelings. Being inside nature, being in the silence, completely soothes my soul. Pollutes her, no phone, no internet, no signal. In other words, I'm here to truly rest and find myself. Everything here is very pure and honest. There's no noise, just the whisper of the snow and the sounds of the trees and the wind. Represents and the cold give me energy. It feels like a new life is beginning inside me. Accompaniments renew you, making you feel the beauty of life again. Accompany, I think moments like these are the most precious in life. I moved about 4 kilometers into the depths of the forest to find a spot to set up camp. It was a long trek, but it was worth it. I found a safe, spacious, and relatively flat area. This place is also sheltered from the wind, so I can set up my tent comfortably. Combustion, the view is amazing. It's rare to find such a calm spot in the middle of nature. I opened my backpack and carefully laid out all the camping gear I needed. Peacefully, everything in order is very important because I need to work quickly and smoothly. Battleground being organized while setting up camp really helps. It prevents extra fatigue and saves time. Good planning and being well prepared make a huge difference in these tough conditions. Doing all this was really tough. I couldn't feel my hands or my nose. They were completely frozen. But the hardest part was filming all of it by myself. Setting up the camera, recording the shots, each one was a challenge on its own. If this video brought you even a little sense of coolness, please don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Like a small thing for you, but for me, it means huge support for my future videos. Also, if you leave your suggestions and questions in the comments, I will definitely read and reply to them. Slack is truly valuable to me. To set up the tent, I first walked deeper into the forest and began searching with my eyes for dry, flat, and sturdy branches. I chose the ones that were unbroken and strong enough to use as poles. I carried each one I found back to the campsite one by one. Doing this in the cold weather was definitely not easy, but finding the right materials was essential for building a solid tent. Once I had gathered all the branches, I started cleaning them. Professional, any small twigs, leaves, and pieces of bark left on them. Amazed, I arranged them by length so it would be easier for me when setting up the tent. The more organized you are, the less tired you'll be later on. Then I moved on to preparing the spot where I would pitch the tent. First, I cleared away the snow on the ground and set the rocks aside. I made sure the surface was as flat as possible. Because an uneven or bumpy surface not only makes it harder for the tent to stand firmly, but also makes sleeping at night uncomfortable. Once the area was completely ready, I carefully began setting up my tent, poles placement, and made sure the guy lines were tight and secure. Even in the cold weather, I took it step by step, and finally, my tent was completely ready. This marked the completion of one of the most important steps of the camp. Lighting the campfire is one of the most important and most enjoyable moments of camping. First, I started looking around for dry firewood. I gathered thin branches, dry leaves, and pieces of tree bark. Because the secret to starting a fire is to begin with small materials and then strengthen it with thicker logs. Wet branches and snow-covered pieces are useless, so I chose them carefully. In a safe corner of the campsite, in a spot sheltered from the wind, I began building my fire. First, I used my knife to split a few small logs into thin sticks so they would catch quickly. I carefully arranged the dry branches I had gathered. The thinner ones went at the bottom, and the thicker ones on top, so the flames could rise easily. I took out my lighter and carefully lit the fire. When the small twigs began to burn slowly, I blew on them gently. As the flames grew, I added new pieces of wood. In no time, my campfire was burning beautifully. The critting sound of the flames, the faint smell of smoke drifting through the air. This is where the true spirit of camping begins. Fire, I was both warming myself and planning for the meal I would prepare. On such a cold day with the temperature below freezing, the warmth of the fire gave me an indescribable sense of comfort. My hands and face warmed, I could feel my tiredness fading away. Lighting the fire gave me not only heat, but also a deep sense of safety and motivation. I was really hungry. Actually, hunger is one thing, but being hungry on a mountaintop in the cold is a completely different feeling. Especially when your stomach is empty, the feeling of cold seems to double. My hands were already numb from the cold, and when my stomach began to growl, it felt as if the cold sank right into my bones. The very first thing I did was prepare a small working area. I cleaned the table, brought the dry branches and kindling I had gathered to the front, submerged to boil water for tea, and also start the food preparations. I took a small pot. I filled it with snow. The snow would melt on the fire until it turned into water. And looked inside. I remembered there was a pack of pasta in there. I quickly thought, while preparing the main meal, I could cook the pasta quickly and fill my stomach a little. That way, I would both ease the cold and regain some energy. I began preparing the water for the pasta. In the meantime, I didn't just sit around. I took out my vegetables for the main meal preparations. I chopped the onion, pepper, mushrooms, and a few sausages I had brought with me. The fresh scent rising from the cutting board became even more distinct in the cold air. The slightly salty aroma of the sausages made my appetite grow even more. As the water was getting close to boiling, I sat down by the fire to warm my hands. The tea water began to bubble, and the wonderful steam hit my face. I added the pasta into the pot and waited for it to cook, stirring occasionally. The crackle of the fire, the soft sound of melting snow, and the surrounding silence. In the mountains, moments like these were truly priceless. My pasta was ready in no time. I added a little salt on top. When I took the first bite, warmth spread through my body. It felt like the cold retreated all at once. After filling my stomach a bit, my energy was finally restored. I moved on to the second dish. First, I picked a small, sturdy pan and poured in some cooking oil. I waited for the oil to heat up thoroughly so the food would cook perfectly. The sausages I had chopped and prepared earlier into the pan. I carefully turned the sausages until their edges were lightly browned. This process added a wonderful flavor and texture to the dish. After the sausages were nicely browned, I added fresh and colorful green peppers. I had chopped the peppers into small pieces so they cooked quickly and added a pleasant aroma to the dish. The crispy texture of the peppers created a perfect contrast with the softness of the sausages. Then, I added the mushrooms and chopped onions as well. Blocking, I sautéed everything together over medium heat, patiently and lovingly. As the onions softened, the mushrooms released their juices, adding an amazing flavor to the dish. At this stage, the surrounding aroma was incredible. Cooking such a delicious meal in the heart of nature was an indescribable joy. Believe me, this was one of the easiest, most delicious, and quickest meals you can have in the world. You won't find a taste like this in any restaurant anywhere, because the view, the crackling fire, the surrounding snow, and the silence gave the meal a unique flavor. Swallow. As the warmth of the fire blended with the sharpness of the cold air, I was captivated by the magic of nature while eating this meal. I wasn't just filling my stomach, I was nourishing my soul too. Moments like these, being in nature and finding joy in simple things, truly connect a person to life. If you felt a bit warm watching this video and joined me on this adventure, subscribing to the channel would be a huge support for me. Don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments, because reading your comments and replying to you is really valuable to me. Thank you for everything, Alexi, and see you in the next video.